Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into the Kids Tech Summit and opioid awareness. My guest today is Richard Mahee. He is the president of ARG and the chairman of Mahvrick. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you, Anthony?
Yeah, so Richard, I start my guest's college career. Let's start out all the way back, grammar school. Take me into grammar school, high school, and where you went to college.
Sure, I went to University of Maryland, so I'm a Terrapin. But I went to grade school at PS 129, which is off of Cedric Avenue in the Bronx. So I am a native New Yorker. But in third grade, my parents moved to East Windsor, and I wound up going to Ethel McKnight Middle School.
Oh, fantastic. So give me a sense of what your thoughts were of going to college. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was a kid, I was probably one of the worst students. I probably had some learning disabilities. I don't know what they were, but early on, I was really struggling in third grade. Then my parents wind up moving to Jackson, New Jersey, and things started to get a little bit better for me. My first sport was football, and my number was 12, so that's kind of the direct relation to some of our branding with M12. But for some reason, sports helped me, assisted me in getting stronger in confidence, and then school started to get stronger. I went from being probably one of the worst students in the school to becoming an honors student.
Wow. So what were some of the subjects that you studied in school? What were you learning when you got to college?
Football, wrestling, track were my primary focuses, I could say, because that's what really gave me the most attention. I wound up playing varsity as a freshman in all sports. I came out of grade school, I played varsity football. And that's where I met people like Scott Goodale and Rob Johnson. Rob went on to playing for the New Jersey Metro Stars, and Scott is now the head coach over at Rutgers University. But football, it was interesting. Sports became my focus. I kept my grades strong enough to sort of to have the profile of being an honors, but I really wasn't focused on academics at the time.
Yeah.
And that became a failure for me later on in life because I just didn't have the aptitude. So what I studied was just being a good kid and trying to make it, and football and athletics kind of carried me through.
So now, when you were at University of Maryland, was that the only school that you were looking at, or were there other schools that wanted you?
So, if people were going to ask me the question, what do I want to be when I grew up, it would be a college football player. So, like going to the Olympics or something like that. I mean, I saw the theme songs for Penn State and Michigan, and I remember writing letters to almost every major Division I college coach. There's like 116 of them. And I would write letters to them saying, here's my tape, I want to play for your school. And so the schools that I got to visit were Syracuse and some of the smaller schools in the MAC conference, like Albright and Muhlenberg. But I was able to get some exposure to the Division I schools like Penn State and West Virginia by going to camp there.
Yeah.
So I knew I could compete, but I was still not really a Division I scholarship level player. So I walked on at University of Maryland.
Wow.
And
made the team.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
you can see tears, but the day I walked on, it was like one of the biggest days of my life.
Wow.
Making the team. I didn't think I was going to make the team.
Wow. How was the team when you were there? What was University of Maryland like when you were there?
Well, what happened is a local coach from Admiral Farragut called me because I had a friend, Paul Sisler, who became my roommate my freshman year. And when I tried out, there was 5 guys that were able to try out to make the team, and I actually dropped every ball. I didn't realize how hard they threw at Division I. I really wasn't prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when they asked me, Ron Oringer asked me my sneaker size. They had to order shoes from Nike because I was too small.
Oh,
So
wow.
they literally called Nike to get my shoes because I was only a 9.5. But interestingly enough, Masai Hail-Mariam, who was also tried out, is now Under Armour All-American head coach, who has about 32 kids in Division I.
Wow.
He's a high school coach and 14 NFL players. And Kevin Plank, the founder of Under Armour, also walked on with me the same day, who was also one of my dorm mates. We used to walk to practice almost every day together. So amongst the 5 people, 3 made it. And, we wind up staying connected over the years.
Well, that's fantastic. So now, how does one go from graduating at University of Maryland? Did you graduate at University of Maryland?
Actually, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
I didn't never graduate college. Like I said, I walked on. There were a lot of financial pressures on my parents to keep me in school. My parents were going through divorce at the time. And, that's partly why I created the Kids Tech Summit. It's because I wanted to take kids that didn't have money and they had a vision of what they wanted to be in life and allow them to focus on their career development and school, where they really understood what the criteria was for their goals in life. Because I would say I was misguided. My parents just didn't have enough money for my goals in life at the time. And
Wow.
so it wound up putting me in a situation where I had to couch surf, or it wound up at some points in my career where I was homeless. I really didn't have anything to hang my hat on.
Wow. So when did you end up leaving University of Maryland? Was it your first year, second year?
So I left Maryland in my 3rd year, and I went and got a job down on Wall Street. I really wasn't qualified, but I went to a consulting firm, and I just kept polishing up my technical skills. I wound up working at Lehman Brothers.
Wow.
And then later getting a job as an associate at Goldman Sachs, still without my degree. I just was persistent enough and kept pushing, and I was able to get enough money, but I still didn't have the stability because I didn't have a degree.
Correct. So now you're there for how many years? How many years were you at Goldman Sachs before you started the Kids Tech Summit?
Yeah, so I worked at Goldman in the private equity division, and my boss just happened to be 4 years older than me, and he was also George Bush's nephew. His name is George Walker. He went to Wharton with an MBA, BA, BS. In 5 years he graduated. So he came from a very different pedigree than I did. We didn't have Google at the time, so I really didn't know who he was, but his father was General Walker, who was shot at by Lee Harvey Oswald a week before Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated Kennedy. I just didn't know who he was. But George today manages $330 billion for another firm called Neuberger Berman, which he bought Lehman Brothers out of acquisition, out of bankruptcy. And that just, that's where the idea started to formulate in my head, where you really have to know your surroundings. And if you have the right foundation and you prepare yourself with the right criteria for what you want to do, you can really go. I was constantly in the right position, in the right place, but I just was underqualified constantly.
So now, Tell us a little bit about the Kids Tech Summit. How does it work? What do you do? How do you do it?
What I did with Kids Tech Summit was a friend of mine from high school kept contacting me. She was actually our prom queen at Jackson Memorial High School in Jackson, New Jersey. And her name is Kristen Alexander. And later on, I was able to raise enough money to seed capital a television show called Give on NBC. And Give is sort of like Undercover Boss meets charity. And it won an Emmy, and a lot of people learned about the show because of its notoriety. And Jenna Hager-Bush is the host with Blair Underwood from Quantico. And so people contact me. And so I said, if you want to do something to raise money for your school, we have to create some momentum. So I took her school on sort of as a private charity, and I created programs that were centered around career objectives like fashion, aerospace, national security, and I streamed 32 executives from different corporations into the classroom so students could ask questions during the course of the semester based on a curriculum. And so they would actually be interviewing and talking to intelligence directors at Homeland Security, or a person who bought the Mir space station, Morgan Stanley, record producers. So we broke down each class based on the criteria of what they would be learning and what their career objectives were.
Wow. So now these kids are in their regular classrooms learning from all these high-powered people that you're bringing on. And then what do you actually do then? Do you actually handle their tuition to go to college? What ends up actually happening?
So what the summit is about is it shows people the critical junctures in their life. So, it helps them make decisions. And also, if you're not strong in math and you want a job in science, these are the particular courses that you should take. Or it gives you a tangible mentor and someone that's telling you exactly what it takes to be in that specific career. What you'll find is most people actually don't need as much money as you think to get through college. You just have to be qualified. You have to have the proper criteria, and you have to be on time in you're asked for a student loan, or you're asked for a particular scholarship. So what we're doing is, starting at middle school, showing kids what they can be from these particular careers. So our contribution is the program. And at the end of the program, we actually give students certificates based on their accolades in these particular areas. And we stream into 5 different schools around the country. And the ones that do excel, because a part of the program has to do with giving back to charities. We picked veterans charities where we go and we give donations like gift bags to about 3,500 veterans during the holiday season. So they have personal care products and things to help them get through. And we select about 25 kids that are in the program that have excelled, and we fly them to Disney for a weekend so they can run around the park with Mickey Mouse ears.
That's fantastic. So let's get into the Opioid Awareness Foundation that you have as well. What is that about, and what do you do there?
Okay. Well, one of my attributes, when I didn't have a lot of cash to put in my own ideas, I started coding and developing an online network. And the network now reaches 194 countries every day. It's in the top 50,000 sites in the United States. And during this time period, I started taking on clients for publicity and marketing. And I wound up meeting my partner, Anthony Melikoff, and my other partner, Dale Gaboldo. And Anthony had sold his company to Bear. He started from his credit card, and he wound up getting to about a $1.6 billion in revenue a year, and wind up donating $50 million to charity. So we formed a company, ARG, and Anthony Rich Glenn is the name of the company. And Anthony and I both have a portfolio of things in there, from private island to some of the more interesting things in life. And we donated about $50 million in the last 5 years back to charity, based on ideas that we jointly combined, from the TV show to magazine and events that we've done from the Dalai Lama to James Cameron or Ashton Kutcher. So we also have a project called Mickey Mouse Club Reunion with Dale Gabolda, who was in the Mickey Mouse Club. And what we've done is we reunited 38 of the Mouseketeers to come back and do workshops with kids on talent and career development in entertainment. And we do a gala. And those galas are fundraisers. So along my path, I met Michael King, who started the Opioid Awareness Foundation because he just saw a lot of things going on in the drug epidemic here in the United States. And then after starting the foundation, his daughter passed from an overdose and auto accident. So we took that project on. We put it under our charity as a program that focuses on it. And we are teaming up with David Siegel, who's also on the Forbes list, who lost a daughter to opioid addiction and overdose. So we're creating we have an event on October 25th with Victoria's Vision, and it should have some very well-known government officials that are focused on, the opioid epidemic. And then we'll announce our Disney event there and our lineup for Disney for June.
And now, what does the foundation actually do? Does it help kids slowly get off of opioids?
Well, the foundation has two programs. One of the programs is creating awareness, because if you look at most of the messaging through Instagram and music videos and television, it has a lot of drug use and acceptance of drugs. So we wanted to create awareness through books, which Victoria Siegel has a book and a diary about her drug use, and it's been acknowledged on television shows like Huckabee, and they've actually gone before the House of Representatives and talked about drug use, and they've actually were able to get a law passed where police officers are now using Narcan, which just saved almost 3,000 lives just here in the Orlando market. So we're using our awareness from books, documentaries, and also television programming to sort of spread the message. But in addition, I have a program with Central North Alabama Health Incorporated, which is based in Huntsville, North Carolina. And what we've done is we've teamed up with them for a program for people with drug abuse in 5 health service centers throughout the Huntsville, Alabama region. So we have programs that actually help people get weaned off it and focus on health and wellness as well.
And now, how about if people want to donate to the causes and help you in any way? How do they get in touch with someone like yourself?
So we have events. We're having one on the 25th of October at Westgate Hotel and Casino. So we're going to have a summit that's specifically focused on opioid addiction on the 26th, which is a Saturday. So you can go to opioidawareness.org, opioidawarenessfoundation.org, or you can go to MickeyMouseClubReunion.com.
And that's where they can find all the information about it and how to help out in any which way.
Yeah, and you could also go to Victoria Siegel, Siegel Foundation.org, and then you can get a lot of more information about what we're doing with her and her events, her family.
Great. Now, is there any more events that you're planning? Any more companies that you're building? What else is going on for the future for yourself?
Yeah, well, we have an event that will be happening during Oscar weekend. Oscar Sunday, we'll have an event. And then we're planning our next MMC 31, which will be in Disney and Orlando.
Now, do you bring in a lot of different celebrities and a lot of different executives from the professional world to come in? And you talked in the past about talking to the kids and things of that sort. Is that sense also happening with the opioids as well?
Yeah, all of our events we tie in a component of it for students. It's sort of my mission. It's we've had everyone from Ashton Kutcher to the CEO of Priceline.com, but every event we do have some. It's not just one. We have numerous CEOs and executives or celebrities that are involved, and the reason is, people put some of their idols on a pedestal, but they're really the same person that we are, where we had issues and we had junctures in our life where we had to make decisions, and those decisions either became positive or negative. And so we look at the 7 critical junctures of our lives, like from making a decision what college you go to, based on how much money you have or you don't have. And then we try and precede that by giving you the criteria for the type of career you want to have and helping you make those decisions. And it goes beyond that. It goes to, what do you do when you're in college for your first job, and then from your first job to the first promotion, and and the things that have to do with your life. But a lot of that messaging comes out through the CEOs. We've had everyone from Richard Branson to Diddy to Paris Hilton come and perform or speak and talk about their involvement with us.
Now, do you have a lot of them that come in as mentors to these students? Even like yourself, do you mentor a lot of the students?
Well, yeah. I mean, so my schedule involves every day mentoring, and throughout my career, I have mentors that I've also mentored. Like I said, my partner sold his company for $480 million, but if there's an equal share of information and during the course of the day, and we have different perspectives on things and then life. But a lot of my great friends are in rock bands or rappers, and we focus on people with positive messaging. But I've helped reunite music acts that were not performing, but were making several $1 million a year. They just weren't on tour. And so, yeah, I think the friendship and mentorship extends to my client base and partners. But I do have a concerted effort of putting out messaging and speaking to our kids. We have 850 kids in our charity.
Wow.
But there's a curriculum that they stick to over the course of the semester, so I'm involved in that on a daily basis.
So we're coming to the end of our show. Usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents, the students that are listening? What advice do you want to give to them to understand what you went through and what you've done with your career?
My advice is that the unbelievable is possible and your goals are possible if you're prepared. If you're not prepared, it becomes a nightmare. So you should look at yourself and be honest as to whether you have enough money to do something or if you're prepared. You don't need money to get to college. You need preparation. If you're prepared, you can go to any university in the world. If you're not prepared, it's going to be very costly. And the cost doesn't necessarily mean getting into school. It may mean the struggles that you go to after school. So my word of advice is that, and I'll give you an example, you can pretty much be anything you want. I have friends that make millions of dollars as lead singers of bands that were found on YouTube. And it was the preparation. He sang songs every day for about 7 years. And then one day, the rock band Journey found them on a YouTube link. And now he's performing in front of tens of thousands of people every, 80 nights a year.
Wow.
So it's about the preparation. And so if you're prepared, you'll honestly know if you're ready for what level. And if you're not prepared, then you're going to fail. And that's just the honest truth. So you have to be prepared for that as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.